Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for September 14th, 2015. A couple of items before we get started. If you have an electronic device, please turn it off. Second of all, if you plan on speaking on behalf of a petition this evening, before addressing the board, if you could sign in with your name and address. Going to take the agenda just slightly out of order. We have a item under other business. This is at 221.4 Jackson Street, Lot 17 in the Hamilton Canal District. And we have a request before us for a 6-month extension for a previously approved variance. Is there a representative for that petition? Yes, sir. Hi, Ms. Thomas, how are you? If you could just briefly let the board know the purpose of the extension, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman and members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to come forward and try and give a real brief overview. This came before this board almost exactly 1 year ago for a variance as a part of the construction in the Hamilton Canal District. Parcel 17, which is one of the two out on the point right by Swamp Locks, was envisioned for kind of a shorter building, but we've been in negotiations for a really significant private development project that needs a little bit more height. So we asked for a height variance to add a 5 to 6 story building. And we talked to all our partners. The original application, we had full support from the Lowell National Historical Park. We had no concerns expressed from the neighbors. I met with several as a part of it, and the variance was granted. It's, as a part of the planning, taken a little longer to move forward with the private development project, but especially now as we put out the request for qualifications to move forward with a development partner in the Hamilton Canal District, the variance is really critical to the buildability of this parcel. That's what we've heard again from as we negotiate directly for this parcel and for others who have looked at it for development potential. So I'm here on behalf of the city, who's still the current owner, seeking an extension. It's my understanding the maximum allowable legal extension under Mass General Law 40A is a 6-month extension. So I'm seeking the maximum allowable extension for the variance.
All right, any other board members have any comments? Dennis?
Through Mr. Chairman, do we have a tenant for the building or for the parcel?
Correct. We continue direct negotiations for the parcel construction.
So you're not at liberty to say the tenant that might be interested in the taller building?
I would prefer not to at the moment,
Okay.
but I'm very hopeful that in the next meeting or two of the city council, perhaps, we might come forward with a public presentation. Again, in the stage of negotiations we're in, it's not certain as to the success of this project. Therefore, we actually included the parcel in the request for qualifications, seeking a master developer or development partners for the Hamilton Canal. If we're able to successfully complete these negotiations, then again, we'll come before the council with a proposal to seek their approval to remove that from the bid package.
Was the previous variance given for a single-tenant building, or is it a multi-tenant building?
It was really about the commercial structure in general. So it's a commercially zoned lot under the Hamilton Canal District Form-Based Code. And in general, what we understand for a building on that parcel with about an 8,000, so the full parcel is 8,700 square feet. It can have a full edge-to-edge build-out, but the shape is such that it's probably an 8,000-ish to 8,000 square foot floor plate. So a 5-story building is really about one company size or maybe 2 tenants, but it's not really a multi-tenant commercial structure in the sense. And also based on the way the building would be financed under the kinds of discussions we've had, it would have to be one full owner-occupant or one master tenant that has a small space potentially available for a renter. Commercial tenant.
No further questions.
Yep. Okay. So could I have a motion to continue this for 6 months, please?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for item 221.4 on Jackson Street for a request for a 6-month extension for a previously approved variance to extend the height of the building to 6 floors?
What the previous approval was, whatever it was.
Do we know?
No?
grant the variance, to extend the variance for another 6 months.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
Roll call? Approved.
Member Callahan?
Approved.
Member McCarthy?
Approve.
Member Paglia?
Approved.
Member Peck?
Approve.
Okay, Mr. Thomas?
All
And
right, thank
approved.
you all very much.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, our next order of business is under new business. This is ZB 2015-31. The petition's a variance. The applicant is Stephen Woodman. The property is located at 6365 6th Street. And the petition is a variance. The petitioner seeks variance approval to add a two-story porch without meeting side setback requirements pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Mr. Woodman here?
Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Woodman. How are you?
How are you?
Very good. So you're here, sir, for you want to do some work on the couple of your porches?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So why don't you let the board know what your plans are, and we'll go from there.
Well, originally, when I bought the home, it had like the 5-foot welfare porches on it that were basically falling off the side of the house, so took them down myself. But unfortunately, through my homeowner's insurance, I have to have decks back up. So I started building a deck that was larger so that I could have a stair section that comes down from the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor on the outside. So I started building it, I started putting it together, started the 2nd floor and everything, and I didn't realize that I needed to get a permit, so they came and they said, you gotta stop. So I've been going through all the processes of trying to get it all approved, knowing that it's more than what I'm allowed for the property line on my neighbor. My neighbor was all approving of it anyway, but I have to go through the proper channels to get the thing done. So trying to just finish the project, but I need a variance is what everybody's saying. So I'm here for the variance so that I can finish the project.
How long have you been at the property, sir?
I've been there for 14 years.
Yeah. So you're an owner occupied, you live there?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
two-family. I live on the 2nd and the 3rd floor, and then the 1st floor is the tenant.
So pretty much the porches were in disrepair, they were ready to,
Somebody was gonna get hurt there, so I literally tore them down myself, I mean, I'm in the construction business, but not a licensed contractor, but I've been around enough to know that I can build a set of porches on the side of my house,
Okay.
So I was in the process of doing that, and then they said, no, you can't do that.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, so here I am.
So
you
one of
know.
the things that, obviously why you're here is you've made a decision to fix up or replace the porches, but
Yeah. and
you're
it-
increasing the size, correct?
Correct, and at the same time, what I'm doing also is I'm making another form, I'm widening the porches, and that's what the problem is, that's why I need the variance, because I'll be closer to their property line. But I'm widening the porches so that I can have a set of stairs that were never existing there before, on the original porches when I bought the home. So that when you come out of the 3rd floor stairs, originally, when you came out of the 3rd floor stairs out to the outside, the only access you had was back into the home on the 2nd floor. So what I'm doing is I'm creating it so that you can literally go down the stairs, another set of stairs on the outside, which means that the decks need to be wider.
So
So-
when the existing deck was there, how many cars could you park in your driveway?
It was a 2-car parking area.
Yeah?
So, that's not affecting at all because I'm going out more, you know what I'm saying, versus, this way. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying you can still park two
Yeah.
vehicles there?
Yeah.
Because when I went by over the weekend, there was a, I don't know if it's your truck or somebody else's truck was in the driveway,
Yeah.
and I noticed that the
We kind of have like
porches
some
were already-
staging up there, and we're getting, yeah.
Well, what I noticed was, with the truck there didn't seem to be much room for another vehicle to park behind it.
Well, when you do the post, there'll still be some 5 feet that would fit a car. It wouldn't fit a truck, but it would definitely fit a car, you know, on their
Well,
property.
one of the concerns I have is by extending it and putting a vehicle there, if you have the stack parking, which you do, you can't be blocking the walkway that's in front of your house either. So one of the concerns I had was, I know you started the construction and you had to halt, but that was one
Yeah,
of
well, I
the,
had to stop, so, yeah.
so how did you determine on the size of the
I mean,
porch?
you know, I mean,
Why are you coming out farther?
because of the stairs
Okay.
that need to come down. That's basically the only reason why, you know? I thought that if I put another 5-foot stair section, another 5-foot deck on the back, that it's still creating the same problem, that it, actually somebody that comes out of the house, if there was a fire or an emergency, they would have to still go back into the house if they were on the 3rd floor. So I said, okay, well, let's make this thing bigger so that I can make sure that somebody can come down on the outside on the 3rd floor and on the 2nd floor too. There was never any, you know, emergency exit off the 2nd floor either on the original porches. So I mean, if the 2-car parking is a problem, I mean, that doesn't matter to me. I mean, if there's only a single car parking there when we're done, then there's only a single car parking there. That's
Well,
not.
the requirements, so you need 4 parking spots for a 2-family to start with. Okay, now, there's no way you ever had 4 parking spots in that one driveway. I understand that.
No. We both know that, you know.
Right, and then, the other thing I noticed was on the front of your building, you didn't have any sign, you know, the city provides the
Yeah, I
resident
discussed that
parking.
with a woman, Judy. I don't know if she's here tonight.
Yeah, sitting right there.
Oh, hi, Judy, how you doing? I just was informed of that, so I did not know that I was supposed to have the sign out there.
No, what I'm talking about is on the parking. You know, the city of Lowell provides the resident parking.
Yeah,
The
no,
stickers.
I do have a sign out there.
Okay.
I do.
I didn't see it, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So your
no,
tenants are using that? Or
Yeah,
yourself?
well, the current tenant that I have does not have a car anyway.
Okay.
But yes, I do have that sign out there.
Is that for 1 parking spot, or is that 2?
No, that's 2 in the front.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, great.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I just want to finish it.
Sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is open it up to the public, and then we'll open it to the board if they have any questions. Okay. Thank you, sir.
And then the thing that Judy was talking about was there's supposed to be some kind of a sign up there that I'm gonna take care of tomorrow
Yeah.
to make sure
Yep.
that it's,
Yeah, that's-
everybody knows that it's there.
I actually asked that question, but we're all
Okay.
set on that.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
all right?
Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Judy first, actually, in regard to the sign. I know that you notified the board that it was an issue with the office, not the applicant. He wasn't instructed that he had to post the meeting notice sign.
Right, that's
Right.
correct.
Can we waive that requirement, or even if we wanted to, do we still have to ask it to be posted so that neighbors and other people know that there's a public hearing in regard to it?
I would say, as far as the statute is concerned, the legal notice to abutters is done through the mailing and through the posting in the newspaper. And both of those actions did take place. So, yeah, the city of Lowell does have its own requirement for the posting of the site plan on the property. But legally, the notice does go to the paper and does go to abutters.
All right, thank you. Actually, I don't have any questions about the proposal itself. before you came to us tonight, I didn't realize that the work had already started, so when I went by to look at the site.
So what happened was I started the work, not knowing that, I'm taking my own porch off, I'm putting a new porch up, and then somebody come to me and said, whoa, stop. So we did stop,
No, good, because when I went by the site, again, without listening to you tonight,
Yeah.
I thought that even though you had applied for relief from us, that you had gone ahead and started working on it anyway. But someone came out and instructed you had to stop and apply, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
when we get to that, that first porch was built over 2 years ago, the first level. And then when I started doing the second level, that's when somebody said, whoa, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. So I come down, it's been a year that I haven't been able to finish, and then my insurance company come out, and they said, hey, whoa, so now I had to get in construction insurance, so I'm paying extra on that on my mortgage every month, and like, I just want to finish the port, so.
And a quick question, again, I'm also not a contractor or in the construction business, but it looks like it doesn't look like there's any footings for the.
Not yet.
Okay, but you
Yeah, it's
are-
just temporary, yeah.
Okay, that's just,
So the footing all needs to be done.
okay, because it looked like it
That
was
would
just
be
resting on the.
part of the inspection that they were talking about.
Okay.
All that. The footing's already done on that first part of the porch, the lower part, but not on the second floor
second.
part, because they told me to stop, so.
right.
But that's great, because, then everybody can look at it and see it and make sure that it's okay, so,
Okay, thanks. I don't have any other questions.
all right.
Thank you, Mike. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's always a good thing when an applicant and a homeowner wants to kind of update and kind of upgrade their home. Like you said in your comments, the porch and the stairs are dilapidated, so you're updating it and you're making it kind of more safer and a means of egress to all the units. So overall, I think this is a good petition, and I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Woodman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think that the idea of having a higher factor of safety for egress out of the third floor is a noble thing to try to
Absolutely.
create. No question about it. I'm a little confused, though, about the application. I just would like to ask a few questions. The site plan that you provided has a proposed 47 square foot easement for a pool house on it.
Say that again, I can't.
It has a proposed 47 square foot easement for a pool house. It's noted.
Yeah, there's something that's existing there already that's part of everything, because when the certified plot people came out, because I need a certified plot plan, they had already shown the pool house is already existing, there was retaining walls, they're already existing, and they told me that you have to take care of that easement stuff too. So I went to the lawyer and handled all that stuff, and I think I'm all good to go on that. I mean, as far as I know, that, everything is all set with that. But
Okay.
that's already existing. It's been there for many years, But unfortunately, what I found out was when I got the certified plot plan, is that it was over, that I had no idea that it was over, so I went through the proper channels and got the lawyer and did the easement stuff, and that should be all set, as far as I know.
So Judy, are we referencing the easement for the pool house at all in this variance?
No, the variance is only for the
The
setback.
porch.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
It's only for the setback,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good enough. The design of the porch, are there any drawings that you have?
I have some hand drawings that I would love to turn into you guys and let you know, but if you see the certified plot plan already, like I said, that existing porch is there, and they didn't include the second floor because that floor wasn't completely built, so they just included the actual thing that's on the plot plan.
So I don't know what it's going to look like, and I don't know if there's a roof on the third level?
There is gonna be a roof on the second floor, yes.
Okay. The second floor, but I thought you said that the stair goes to the third floor. Does the stair go to the third level?
No, it only goes to the second floor. And what happens is in the existing house, there's a set of stairs that go up to the third floor, but on the inside.
Okay.
And on the existing set of porches that were there were only 5-foot porches.
Yep.
And what happened was, when you came down from the third floor, you would just go out onto that porch, and then you'd have to go back into another part of the second floor.
To get to
understand what
another
I mean?
stair? To get to another stair to go down?
Exactly, you'd have to go back into the home and then go back down through a room and back down another set of stairs that would go down to the first floor porch.
So this stair in the third floor will
So,
exit to the
yeah,
second floor?
in
to
fact,
the-
what I'm doing is, when they come out of the third floor,
Sure.
they're outside and they stay outside forever.
I think it'd be good to see a drawing of how that whole thing works.
Yeah, I'm building it myself, you know what I'm saying? But I do have a drawing. I did not bring it tonight. I didn't know that I should bring something, but, I mean, if you've driven by there and if you've seen the lot, I mean, you know what I'm doing there. I'm creating a set of stairs that comes down to the first floor deck, is what I'm doing, from the second floor. And there will be a roof on that second floor,
Got it.
okay?
The stair that's going from the first floor deck to the driveway,
Yeah, it doesn't go to the driveway, it goes to the first floor deck,
but then you have a stair that goes from the deck to
Yes.
the driveway.
yes.
So that could be pulled closer to the house, I think, and that would allow you to have 2 parking spaces. I'm a little nervous that we don't have provision for ample parking on the site. I see the dimension across the front of the lot is only 44 feet, so that tells me there's only 1 parking space available on the street, technically, for the house, for the structure.
Well, there's 2 parking
It might be
spaces
for
on the,
small
yeah.
cars, but really, I
yeah,
think you adequately only meet zoning for
Yeah.
1 space. And so I think you could provide 2 parking spaces in the driveway, but you just need to have that stair pulled tight to the house in order to do that. And I think it'd be good to accomplish as much off-street parking as you can.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is, I do want functioning decks. I mean, I don't wanna be putting a deck on that is just used for emergency exits. I mean, I wanna make a deck that you can
I
sit
think-
on.
I think you can still accomplish everything, but we can get 2 off-street parking spaces as you currently have, and get the safety factor raised by having the stair lead directly to the porch and exit down to grade. So I'd like to see a drawing
Absolutely,
revised. I'd
absolutely.
like to see a drawing of the decks.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah. Be happy to give you that.
Okay. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Whitman, I kind of share the sentiments of Dennis regarding, I would like to see a drawing of the proposed deck as well, because I'm a little confused somewhat about how it is set forth now. I mean, you said the stairs go all the way up to the third floor, then from the third floor down to the second floor, then you got to go inside, and then you got to go down.
Yeah, no, there's no-
So is the proposal to have stairs starting from the third floor to the second, to a deck on the second?
Yeah, we're not.
And then down to the first floor, is that?
There's no, because we're not looking at a drawing, everybody's confused, but there is no set of stairs that go from outside to the third floor.
Okay,
None.
none at this point, right?
None whatsoever.
And none planned?
And there won't be.
Okay, that's where I was kind
Yeah.
of getting a little confused. I thought before you said,
It's just that inside the house, the escape in the back from the third floor
Yeah.
comes down to the existing deck that was there.
inside stairs from the third floor?
Inside,
Okay.
yes. There's a door, you go out onto the deck.
Okay,
But on the second floor, on the porch, there was never a set of stairs that went down to the first floor.
okay.
And
Yep.
and the real reason why I'm doing this is because I want that to be there.
Okay, all right.
Because
That
If there was
clarifies.
ever a fire, somebody would have to go still back into the house to get out.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I
So-
follow you now. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for clarifying that a bit.
So-
I was under the impression that the stairs were going all the way up to the third floor from the outside.
No,
And then,
no. There's only, between the two levels, there's only one set of stairs. That's it.
That clarifies it for me, but I still would
Yeah.
have would like to see some renderings of the
Absolutely.
proposed deck as well. Otherwise, I think the project is fine, and I appreciate you coming, after realizing that, starting the work and then
Thank
after
you.
realizing,
Thank you. I
it's
just
always
want-
great when, good when, that when you citizens come to realize that they don't just keep on going on and then just stop and come take care of this. So, but I would propose a condition that we have some sort of, drawings or renderings of what the
Absolutely,
proposed
absolutely.
deck would
It's
be.
already existing too, pretty much. So even if you were to shoot by there, you'll see exactly what I'm doing. I mean, but I'll definitely draw it up for you guys. You can guys take a look at it.
All right,
No
all right,
problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you, and I wish you
All
best of
right.
luck.
Thank you, Sean. Judy, question for you. Has anybody from the city gone out and looked at what exists today?
Yes, the building commissioners, the building staff has been out there to see what exists today. I have not been out there, but the
Right.
building,
And we didn't receive anything written up by them, by their
No.
observation, correct?
no.
So I think based on everything that's been discussed between the board members, my suggestion is, and what I'd like to do is, not that you want to come back, but I think I'm going to have you come back, since we don't really have a set of plans, and this is kind of like the way the project started anyway, so at the end of the day, I think this is going to work out much better for you, because
Okay.
we haven't had anybody review what the real plan is. You have a plan in your head, but
Yeah.
nothing's written down.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to have you sit with the DPD and talk about what you want to do, exactly what you want to do. And because you're here for a variance, obviously you know why
I
you're
just want
here.
the variance, you know?
But we've talked about parking, we've talked about, the safety factor to your benefit.
Yep.
You realize there was a safety factor, so.
Yep.
I think if you sit down with the city, and this doesn't have to take weeks on end. In fact, I'm going to ask Judy a question next.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, we might be able to accomplish a couple of different things here, to your satisfaction and also to this board's satisfaction, that
Okay.
we have a nice finished product. So I'm not trying to put you through the ringer, but we
I'm
have-
already getting put through the
No,
ringer.
that's
though.
okay. So Judy, if this gentleman,
This is costing me a bunch of money,
yeah, I
you
know.
know?
Well,
I'm just trying to put new porches on my home,
yeah, I know.
and I'm trying to.
That's the point I'm
trying to
trying- that's
improve
the-
it at the same time.
That's
That's
the
all
point
I'm
I'm trying to
do.
make to you. I'm not trying to string this out, but
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's done right, and there's
I
a
hear
reason
you.
why you're here. If he was to walk in your office tomorrow, do you have any estimate of how much time it would take to put, a set of plans, and then,
I mean, pictures say 1,000 words.
so what I'm getting at is
But
there
you
enough
just
time for
look
this
and see
gentleman
what
to
I
come
got
back for the next
existing
meeting?
and-
Sir,
Oh,
just a minute.
sure. Oh, yes,
For the next meeting,
absolutely.
okay.
Yes.
Because I'm not trying to
Yep.
put this off for another month. So what I've asked Judy is, what's the date of our next meeting? Is it going to be the 28th? Okay,
28th,
yeah.
yes.
So in
Yes,
2
sorry,
weeks
28th.
from now,
Okay.
we're gonna have a continuance. You're gonna come back before us, but you're gonna come the next time. You'll have a set of plans that the department's reviewed with you.
Okay.
And, if you're not satisfied with what they get to say, you can still come in here, but I really think at the end of the day, if you sit down with them, go through what you're thinking you want to do,
Yeah.
and they may be able to assist you with some of the other things that the board members have discussed. So Judy, we talked about a few different things. I'm sure you have notes there. That way we can sit back down in 2 weeks and we'll make a final decision, and we'll see where we go
Very,
with that.
did you go over and look at it?
Yeah.
Did you see
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
So you really know what I'm doing?
Right, but for me to look at something like that, without something in front of me, and you had to stop. It's not like you started and finished and then,
Right.
okay.
You know, the
Did he
basic,
build what he said he was gonna build?
yeah, the basic frame is up
Yep.
there, and, you know,
Okay.
I'm just waiting to finish it, and I already have the area where the stairs are, and,
Yep.
you know, everything's of code, and everything's gonna be of code, so, you know, nobody has to worry about anything like that. You know,
Don't
so,
worry about a thing.
all right.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is, if I could have a motion for a continuance to 9/28, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2015-031 for a variance to be continued to September 28th.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Do I have a roll call?
Chairman Bailey,
Continue to September 28th.
Member Callahan,
Continue to September 28th.
Member McCarthy,
Continue to September 28th.
Member Paglia,
Continue to September 28th.
and Member Peck.
Continue.
Okay, so Mr. Woodman, I'm sure you know what you need to do. Get in
Yeah.
touch with Judy as soon as you can,
Okay,
and hopefully in 2 weeks when you come back, we'll be all
Let me
set to
just-
go.
let me finish it,
Yep.
please.
Okay, sir?
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
Yep. Okay, our next order of business is ZB 2015-32. The petition is a special permit. And Judy, it says special permit, but there may be variances also. Is that correct on this?
No, this is just a special permit for the illumination.
Okay, good. The applicant is O'Reilly Auto Parts. The property is located at 812 Gorham Street, and the petition, special permit for illuminated signs pursuant to section 6.32 of the zoning ordinance. Yes, sir. How are you this evening?
Hi, how you doing?
Good,
Sorry, I've never been in one of these, so, basically, I'm on here in behalf of O'Reilly Auto Parts, basically to put up our trademark sign.
Yep. You just give us your name, please?
Oh, my name's Tony Correas.
Okay. All right, Tony. Yeah, if you can just run through
Sure.
the purpose of being
It's
here this
basically,
evening.
right now, the city ordinances allow you to put LED signs up, but they're not enclosed. O'Reilly Auto Parts, well, what we use is enclosed signs. Basically, those signs we're able to use less energy. They're also reflective, so if we have a power outage, you can still see the sign at night. It's less glare on drivers, so you're not, worried about glare. And it's just to keep in, along with our 4,400 other stores that we have and that trademark. And basically, it's a beautiful O'Reilly Auto Parts sign, green and black. So,
Okay, good. Yeah, Judy, did this gentleman get a copy of what the department, their summary, their comments? Did he receive a copy?
I'm not sure if Tony did specifically. We've been working with O'Reilly Auto Parts out of Alicia.
Sandra Wilkinson is probably who you've been in contact with?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yes.
Yes,
Do
we've been,
you have a copy of this? The comments?
yes.
Is there an extra copy? I mean, could you provide a copy just so he can take a?
Sure.
The city did just a brief summary. If you want to take just a minute, just read through it.
Quick question, gooseneck style lighting, not understanding what that is. I've never heard of that, gooseneck style lighting. Apologize.
Okay, Judy, could you,
Gooseneck style lighting.
Oh, gooseneck. The lights that kind of overhang.
Oh, to illuminate the,
Yes, to illuminate the sign. It's supposed to it's supposed to illuminate signs. It's actual lights that protrude over.
so kind of like the So the lights are not illuminated themselves, it's just you have lights shining on them?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, that's one question I'll just, have you, in reading that, because as you can see, we've already had another tenant that's already moved in there, it's come before us on illumination, and they're using the gooseneck. So I would assume what we're trying to do there is have consistency for the location. Is that something, if you can answer the question, is that something that's,
I'm here for those purposes. It's probably not that we want to accommodate that. It's not that if we have to, at the end of the day, of course, we're building a store in Lowell.
Yep.
You know, we are partners in the community, and we want to continue being partners in the community. It's just not what our general storefront looks like. You know, again, just the power conservation, you know, based on power, illumination, our lights use 10% less power than standard lighting. Is it basically, is the board looking for basically consistency in that plaza? Is that what kind of?
well, I'm not going to say this is what the board's looking for. We receive comments from the department. So as every applicant comes in here, you know, the comments go back to the applicant. Obviously, you didn't see these, but it gives the applicant a chance to take a look at it, and they can agree or disagree.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if you were even in a position, A, to make the,
No, I'm not.
okay.
I'm here just basically trying to
Sure. Is that what you?
present to the board what we have and what we would like to do.
Okay. Yep, that's fine. That's fine.
Sorry.
Okay, anything else you want to add? Because if,
No, I just want to make sure that the board received a letter from our corporate office, probably explaining better to you, what our corporate office, you know, from Sandra Wilkinson.
is that something?
No,
I don't think we received that, did we?
No, Mr. Chairman, I have been in communication with Sandra Wilkinson at the corporate office, and I did mention to her that the other store did use the gooseneck lighting and asked her if she could look into it, and she did talk to people that she works with and came back and said that they would prefer not to do the gooseneck lighting. So there wasn't a specific letter that they sent, but I know she did talk to someone there, and that was their answer.
All right. Anything else you want to add? Okay. I'm going to open it up to the public, and then,
Sure.
why don't you just stay there, and then we'll open it up to the board. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Favor? Hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone in opposition? 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 Hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. Open it up to the board. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a question for the petitioner, just a comment on, I'm sure we're all going to be talking about gooseneck lighting for the next 15 minutes, but I will just say that I don't see that as a concern. If the two stores were attached to each other and we wanted consistency across the whole building, I would recommend that be required. But where these are two separate buildings separated by sidewalks and parking areas and a new street, I don't think, I mean, unless we're going to ask every business on Gorham Street within that area to now have gooseneck lighting on all their signs for consistency, I don't see why we would start doing it now with this application. So that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, you know, I kind of agree with Mr. Paglia that, you know, I would like to see consistency with all like the signs and the branding, but, you know, I think it's not a major concern to me personally. You know, overall, I think it's a good sign package. You know, you're using LED lighting, you're not using fluorescent, so it's always a good thing. But to me, overall, I think this is, you know, a good package, and, you know, I wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just ask about the location of the sign on the building.
Sure.
I'm looking at a plan that you submitted, the L1 the site plan.
Mm-hmm.
And your store is the 7,150 square foot proposed retail building, but
Yeah, it's the, if you're looking at the new street, it would be the one to the right. Dollar General's on the left.
Yep.
Dollar Tree.
And so is it going to be on the side of the building at the entrance, or is it going to be facing Gorham Street?
If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be on the side of the building facing the entrance. I got to look at the. I apologize. I don't have the actual sign locations, so I'm not going to speculate and just say it's going to be on only one side. So I apologize. So
It's a little hard to approve something when we don't know where it's going.
I definitely know it's going to be on the side of the new street, which the sign will be there.
So it's facing New Hall Street?
Yes, a new location, the new street that they built.
Okay. All right, and then you'll be relying on the proposed freestanding sign that'll have your street signage on Gorham Street. Is that correct, Judy?
Well, right now, the freestanding sign is already there.
No, I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the signs will be facing, on the side facing New Hall Street, which is also facing their parking lot, and on the side facing, the smaller one is on the side facing Gorham Street.
Oh. Okay. I'm not sure, I'm seeing two signs here illustrated. Thank you.
Yeah, both signs essentially have the same, it's the same look, they're just different sizes. One is 102 square feet and the other is 169
Okay.
square feet. And they're both within the allowable size under
Yep.
the zoning.
Great, and I'm glad you're using LED, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
No
Try to do our part.
Thank you. No further questions, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions or comments.
Okay. So, Judy, I guess the only thing I'll follow up with, as far as this gooseneck, so at 6.3.2, then there's a subsection 9 under illuminated signs. So if I read through the requirements there, I don't see anything about, gooseneck or anything to that.
No.
Yep, okay. So I don't see that as a requirement that this board needs to, have a condition that that's enforced, so I won't be asking for that. So it sounds like, so pretty much the special permit is for the illumination, and, based on the drawings and the questions that the board had, and you've answered everything, to my satisfaction, based on the requirements for the special permit. I believe the petitioners met their burden, and if there's no other questions or comments from any of the board members, I'd like to have a motion, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2015-032 for a special permit for O'Reilly Auto Parts for illuminated signs.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Chairman Bailey,
Approved.
Member Callahan,
Approved.
Member McCarthy,
Approved.
Member Paglia,
Approved.
and Member Peck.
Approve.
Okay, sir, been approved. Wish you best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. You did a great job, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2015-33. The petition's a variance. The applicant is KABP LLC, 101 Vernon Street. And petitions, a variance for lot area per dwelling unit, frontage, and minimum front setback pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance.
Good evening, Mr.
Counselor.
Chairman,
How are you?
members of the board. For the record, my name is Attorney Stephen Geary. I represent KABP LLC in their request for variances tonight for a parcel of land at 101 Vernon Street in the Centerville section of the city of Lowell. Just quickly by way of background, how my client ended up before this board tonight is they purchased this property a while back with the intention of putting in a two-family unit. And as of today, they do have a permit for that two-family. So they have a foundation permit. They could start that right away. But in that process of going through that to get the permit, it was brought up that it might help that neighborhood, which, by the way, is a very residential, very well-settled, nice area of Centerville, with this parcel of land happens to have three sides to it, with the dwelling units sitting on one side. So it was brought up through his working with the planning department that two single families with some open space might be a better alternative to the two-family, which he is able to build. So he pursued that, and as you can see, I think Kevin Ahern is the manager, and he can hand out everybody's plot plan and rendering of the parcel as built. I understand there's a lot of neighbors here, so he does have an extra copy. If one of the representatives wants to take a copy to see what we're handing out to the board, so they're on
Sure.
the same
So
page
if-
as everybody else.
If anybody from the neighborhood that's here that wants to look at the plans or any of these renditions that are being handed out, you can see Mr. Ahern for that. Thank you.
And if I could first just address the memorandum by Judy Tyner from the senior planner from the city of Lowell that was given to my client. The commentary on that is that the applicant should indicate that the plan requires open space on each parcel for 500 square feet. You can see by the new plot plan that's in there that each parcel has that 500 square feet. On number 2, it was indicated that it's not clear where the driveway is located on the new lot, which is the lot on the south side, and that entire outline of driveway should be on the plan. That has been done. That is on the plan. And the applicant has also submitted renderings of the plans for an attached two-family dwelling. Just by reference, that would be the plan with the bright yellow car in front. So that is a foundation plan that's already approved, and he has the permit now. So he could put that foundation in right away for the two-family. So what the end product would be, if he went that route, would be what we're all looking at with the yellow car, with the 2 units with the connecting breezeway. What he's proposing, by way of the variances, is to be able to do almost the same thing. The existing home that's been renovated, that's sitting there now on the northerly side of the lot, and then another single family next to it with that space in between. Here, there's no space in between because they have the breezeway. With this, there'd be 24 feet of space in between. Again, in a very well-settled residential neighborhood, it would appear that this makes more sense to do, this project, which is why Mr. Ahern had sought the variances. If you look at the decision criteria for at least in the memorandum for the social, economic, community needs, it's a single-family home. It has no, it doesn't derogate from the neighborhood whatsoever. There's going to be no increase in traffic that it would be for the original project at all. There's adequate utilities, service in that whole area. There's nothing extra that would be needed to put in that would have any impact, or negative impact, I should say, on the neighborhood. Certainly, it meets all the criteria for the neighborhood character and social structures, and there's no impact on the natural environment that wouldn't be otherwise. There's just a lot there that would be developed that's going to be developed one way or the other. And just a potential fiscal impact would be property taxes and 2 single-family homes. So the proposal, as you can see, for the two single-family appears to be, at least through his discussions with the planning department, a better alternative than the two-family, which it's in a two-family area, so he could do that. The relief requested is relatively minimal because the minimum lot size on one lot that's existing is the 1341, and then the other lot would be the 496. And there's, as I said, there's this plot and the size and shape of this lot is unique as to its three different sides that it has, really three sides of frontages, which is where you get that asterisk for the 4.9 on the plot plan for the minimum front yard. So the end product of this, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, would be two really nice single-family units with open space in between as required. And the alternative to that would be the two-family unit that he has the permit for right here, that is issued for that 24 by 36 two-family. So the it seems like it's the proposal to the neighborhood is less intrusive that he's proposing that was the original plan to do the two families. So I understand that there's opposition, but Mr. Ahern had met with Anne Marie Page from the Neighborhood Association, and she supported it. He didn't know that was the name that he knew from Centerville. Apparently, there's others that he wasn't completely aware of, but he did hand out flyers. He had a meeting there yesterday. He figured summertime, people aren't going to come. Summer's over, right before the meeting. That's when people will have it fresh in their mind. That's when he had the meeting. You know, maybe it should have been earlier, but, you know, that was a decision that maybe more people would be available on a Sunday just before the hearing. So he's here to answer any questions that you might have with this, but it's a relatively straightforward request for the variances as opposed, as I said, to the alternative of the two-family.
Yeah, so Attorney Gary, since you started, well, one of the topics you get into, you get into the comments that came back from the city.
Yes.
To you guys. So the first two, you obviously addressed those. Now, number 3 and number 4, can you just walk me through, we'll start with number 3, can you just walk me through what was commented here and what your response is?
Oh, okay, on the second page, I was looking at the social. Yeah. Okay, so the applicant submitted rendering plans for the attached two-family dwelling. Mm-hmm. So he did that with the planning department and met with the planning department and went over this project when he initially purchased it to put the two-family in.
Okay,
so
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Judy, just so I understand, because I had some questions when I read through everything here. The two-family that Mr. Gary's talking about, and you have a permit there also?
Right here, we have a foundation permit for the 24 by 36.
So was that going to be on the, I'll call it the vacant
yes,
piece of
and it
property?
would connect with the breezeway. So it would be, what you'd be looking at a finished product would be from Vernon Street is 2 units connected by a breezeway. The alternative is 2 separate units with green space in between.
Right. So the existing building that's there right now, the residence that's there, was that going to stay as even part of the two-family?
Yes, it'll be connected and made part of it, and that was recently completely renovated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so the permit that Mr. Gary has, that's already been issued and ready to go?
Yes, I was not aware that there was a permit. Apparently, the building department did issue a foundation permit.
Okay.
As Mr. Gary said, so they do have a foundation permit.
Okay.
And the foundation permit is for 24 by 36, and anybody's welcome to look at it.
Yep. Okay. So that takes. Okay. So wait a minute. I can't have people. You're going to get an opportunity to speak, believe me, but I can't have people just throwing stuff out. Thank you. All right. So that takes care of number 3 as far as I'm concerned, because I read through it and I just want to make sure I knew exactly what we're entertaining here. You're here for a variance, and I want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. And I understand exactly why you're here. So number 4, can you just run through that for me, please?
Yeah, so the plan set for the proposed new single-family dwelling includes a site plan by a registered land surveyor. On this plan, the footprint of the development shown is 36 by 26. The floor plan depicts a structure with a footprint of approximately 40 by 42. That's just what he had for plan, but clearly the foundation permit is for the 24 by 36. So that's the clarification of number 4, is it's 24 by 36. So you can completely ignore the 40 by 42. That was just a plan that he had, because you have to put some plan in, and it was just not the exact dimensional
So
sizes.
if you're gonna go with the if we go with the single family for the vacant lot, what's the dimensions for that? going to
24
be?
by 36.
Okay.
It's the same thing, except, I'm sorry, 26, yes.
26 by 36.
26 by 36.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to ask that since you had started with that, so if you want to continue with,
So
Anything else?
in that area, if you go around, there's a mixed, there's a lot of two families. Directly abutting that property is a brick building that is on the Beacon Street side, and I don't know exactly how many units, it looks like to me at least 12. The whole backyard is a parking lot, or there may be 6. I can't tell if they're, but whatever, it's more than a two-family. And it's a large brick, nice structure right there, and it has all the parking in the back. So where this parcel would go, right across from it is a parking lot with a fence that separates it. So there are also some very nice single families around there. There are some very nice two families. I've seen beautiful Victorians and other houses. So there's a lot of character in that neighborhood. And the other thought was that 2 single families would add to be more consistent with the character of the neighborhood than having a 2-family unit connected by a breezeway there that would just, aesthetically, it just wouldn't be as pleasing to the neighborhood. And my client, somebody brought this up to him. His intention was always to do the 2-family, and this was brought up to consider this. And so he did consider this, and to do that, as opposed to the 2-family unit, this requires dimensional relief, which is why we're here. So again, he's here to answer any questions. I understand that there might be some different thoughts as to what I said, but we're going by what has transpired over the last several months, and that's what this meeting's for. So.
if you have nothing further, then I'll open it up to the public, and then we'll open it up to the board.
Yes, I have nothing further
Great.
at this point.
Thank you. All right, is anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Favor? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone here to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Sorry. Thank you. How you doing? My name is Patrick Farmer. I live at 84 Vernon Street. Let me sign in here too. I basically live diagonally across the street from the property.
Yep.
Talking opposed to it, there's a lot to be opposed to. This is probably the 2nd or 3rd time somebody has tried to develop on that lot. Different board members, different boards have said no to all kinds of variances that have been brought up before. So kind of feeling like a broken record, but we'll go from here. First of all, I don't know if everybody can see this here, but Beacon Street is shown on this as an angle. Yep. Beacon Street is straight. So I don't know where these other little extra plots of land are coming from to make it look like it's a little bit more off the street, but it is, Beacon Street is straight right to 6th Street. There's no weird angle like that. Every time somebody has lived in this existing home, they've always parked on Vernon Street because the driveway from Beacon Street is impossible to get in and out of because the people on Beacon Street don't stop at the stop sign up there. They're not stopping letting cars go. They've always parked on Vernon. We've always had issues with plowing because there's always been 2 or 3 cars right on Vernon Street. Even with their off-street parking, they don't chance it because if they try to back out of their driveway, they're going to get plowed into. So they always wind up parking on Vernon. The from these pictures, I see the amounts, I see what they're saying in terms of feet and open space. It's not there. It's not there. That apartment complex is right on top of that property line. They have a driveway that comes down, stockade fence, dumpster. I know the pictures look really pretty, but next to this building is an apartment building that we've been fighting for and against for years with all kinds of stuff that's going on. My wife and I actually take care of the property right alongside, right in front, city property, and my wife and I actually take care of that property. The guy at this building, it's a whole nother story, but basically the pictures aren't as pretty as it would be over there. It's a very small lot. Yes, of course, you could slap a house on there. As far as I know, there is no building permit for a condex. We didn't get a public hearing. We didn't get our say on any type of condex with the breezeway, anything like that. Adding another driveway there in any way, shape, or form, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to have to park on Vernon. You can't get in and out from Beacon Street. They fly. And right through the stop sign at the top of 6th, both directions, it's almost impossible to get in and out of. I know other people have a lot to say, so I'm going to stop there for now. Thank you.
I just asked you a quick question. You're at number 84?
84 Vernon Street, correct.
So are you in the condos?
I'm in the condex that's there, yes. It's like,
Condex,
almost looks like a
right.
townhouse, but they're attached like a condex, yes. So diagonally,
Okay.
I don't know which direction.
So is that two separate, do you
We share a
rent or
wall,
are
but
you
it's,
an owner?
I'm the owner, yes. Well, not of both, just of my side. We own our side. We have a tenant who lives next door, and that's owned by a different person.
Okay, so just so I understand, your main opposition is what?
Basically, it's the traffic that it's going to cause on Beacon. If they do actually try to use the driveways on Beacon, it's going to make an already dangerous intersection that much more. This is a main road that kids walk on to get to school, to the Robinson and the McAuliffe down the street. So everybody winds up parking on Vernon, and we always have trouble in the winter. The street just gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the plows have to keep dodging the cars. Because unfortunately, in Christian Hill, Centerville area, we don't have a lot of options when it comes to the off-street parking. Even when they put the parking bans on, they tend to just let the cars stay on the street because we don't have anywhere to go. The garages are open, but there's no garage nearby. So people tend to just stay where they park. Everybody does the best they can, but unfortunately the plows don't have room. So obviously it looks nice right now in the summer, but in the winter that corner, it gets really, really bad. 6th Street is slippery, so trying to come up and around, always hard. It's just, on top of it, we're going to lose, there's a couple of old trees on that lot. It's, depending how tall this is, it's going to change the sight line that we can see from where we are up to the reservoir and back down. Yeah, kind of opposed to a lot of it, basically.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Vega. I live at 282 Beacon Street.
282 Beacon?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I became aware of this a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that concerned me that I heard tonight is I wasn't aware that that was going to be a two-family, that was approved as a two-family prior to coming here. So given that, if I knew that, I would have come to that hearing when that took place, if it did. One of the things I just want to say is that I'm opposed to this because of a couple of reasons. One is that I think that the lot, the way it is with a single family, is unique now. There's not a lot with space like that, and I think it should remain that way. There's no benefit into splitting that lot and turning it into two smaller lots that don't have enough yard space to do anything with, or enough parking for what a single-family house is today. Most people have extended families. Most people that move in will have either their parents living with them or their kids moving back in. So two families with that much parking available just isn't going to cut it there. And I also feel that when a waiver is given, there should be something given back. There should be some kind of a benefit to the community that comes from it, not just a benefit to the developer. So that I think that something should be realized, and there's nothing that's going to come from this except smaller lots for houses that won't have enough room and won't have enough parking. And I live next to I've been living in Lowell for 15 years. I live next to a great example of a variance from a Frankenstein movie. They put in some condos right next to me. They had to move a house to do it. Now, this is not to this scale whatsoever, but there's a lot behind my house that abuts my land that nothing can be done with and nobody does anything with that belongs to the condo association. And nothing is done because that land is useless to anyone. But it was needed in order to grant the variance in order to, because they needed the frontage or the space. And putting in another house for the sake of putting in another house that's not going to be big enough for anyone or have enough parking just doesn't make sense. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Sir, where are you on Beacon in relationship to where the property is?
I'm at the end of the next block. I'm opposite the Richard Street.
So is that heading downhill, down Beacon? I'd say heading,
It's heading towards
South.
Market Basket from 6th Street.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Just sign this first. Good evening. My name's Scott Fuller. I live at 246 Beacon Street, about 6 houses away from this piece of property. I've been living in Christian Hill for about 50 years. My father's with me here tonight. He's been living there over 70 years up on Christian Hill. So we're there a long time. We like the neighborhood, great neighbors, everything about it's great. The owner of this property bought this about 8 months ago, back in January, so he doesn't have as much invested as the rest of us. Few times in the past, they've tried to get variances to develop this piece of property. Neighbors showed up like they are again tonight, and because we don't want it. It doesn't fit the neighborhood. It goes against the character and integrity of the neighborhood. It just doesn't fit. You know, we have parking issues up there. We have yards up there to enjoy. This isn't going to make it. I spoke to Judy Timon this past week about what was proposed, about something was approved on this lot already. She told me there was nothing approved on this lot. So that, you know, I know the petitioner here is stating that, but my answer from her was nothing was approved on this, for this lot, of any shape, kind, anything like that. So I just want to get that clarified. That corner of 6th Street and Beacon Street, there's 2 stop signs there for a reason. Very, very busy street. We got a lot of cut-through traffic, people going down on Route 110 on the boulevard, a lot of New Hampshire people. In the morning, afternoon, it's ridiculous with traffic. We have a major problem with that. I live there, I see them flying by, but that's definitely a major issue. With this past winter and just a regular winter, parking problems up there. There's nowhere to put the snow. Like I say, it's a very busy corner, so it's unsafe. Been several accidents there. When the fence used to be around the reservoir, many of cars have driven right through it. So definitely been, you know, a very accident-prone corner. Like I say, it's already a congested area of parking. I live up there. You know, families, it's a family neighborhood. So you're going to have families, the kids are going to grow. There's going to be more than, you know, 2 cars in the neighborhood. So it's already congested with parking. It's not just going to be 2 cars. A couple other things. The square footage that's needed for those to develop each lot, if that's proposed, you need 6,000 square feet. Neither lot has it. That's the minimum. 6,000 is the minimum, not the maximum, the minimum. And people put that in place so we have houses with decent yards and people can enjoy. Those are big quality of life issues. Another thing, the minimum frontage is 70 feet required, the minimum. There's only 48 feet of frontage for these two lots. It's like a third, it's a third less than what's required at the minimum. So this isn't even close to meeting any requirements. It's definitely going to affect the neighborhood and the neighbors in a negative way. And also on the Beacon Street side, there's a sidewalk there. There's a fire hydrant and there's a sidewalk. Even though half of it's about paved, the other half is grass. But there is still a sidewalk that people use. So it looks like on the pictures here, that's part of the property that they're going to do, including. But that is a sidewalk. There's a sidewalk on two sides that are used. In Vernon Street side, it is a grass sidewalk that's, I guess, somewhat used. So like I said, I oppose this project. Again, I've lived there for 50-plus years, great neighborhood. I plan to stay there, but this is going to be detrimental to the neighborhood, safety, enjoyment of life, and everything else. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Britt Bowner. I live at 96 10th Street.
Okay.
And I'd pretty much like to echo what my neighbors have said this evening. And I went over and checked out the lot today, and I was really surprised at how small of a lot it was. And I was surprised that you could fit one house, never mind two. It seems really tiny to me. I'm generally opposed. I agree with what everyone else has said. And I feel like this is sort of a project where you're trying to shoehorn something into a space that really is too small for it. And I think this is another example of this sort of willy-nilly zoning that I've seen around Lowell, living here for the last 13 years. And I'd like to see the neighborhood preserved. It's right next to the reservoir. And I just don't think this is the right project for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Amy Saba Farmer. I am at 84 Vernon Street. I also would like to just echo a few things that have previously been said. Again, I'm agreeing with Mr. Fuller. We never heard anything about this being developed. We were never sent anything in the mail to even let us know that anything like this was happening. So this kind of threw us off guard until the big billboard went up with the proposed. He sent us a letter it was actually dated on September 4th, but we did not receive it until the 8th or 9th of September. And again, wondering why nobody showed up on the 13th. Well, we did have other plans, and with this short notice, we couldn't change any of our Sunday plans in order to show up for an open house or whatever that was proposed. He did send us a letter saying that it says, please realize I already have an approved permit from the city to build a condex on the property, but we are petitioning instead to build a modest size single-family home. Which he believes is more in line with the character of the neighborhood. My partner and I, Patrick, live in a side-by-side condex, which actually does blend in with the neighborhood. We share a very small, firewall with our neighbor, but it actually looks like a large single-family home. With a couple of distinctive points, as if we have a farmer's porch on our side, which kind of makes it a little bit distinctive. But when we first looked at the property, we thought it was a single-family home. There was no plan to have two single-family homes. As Britt had said as well, squeezed onto this tiny property. And again, we saw very little, we saw some renovation, I believe. There were a couple of trucks that showed up. There may have been a few things on the roof that were done. I don't even believe there was ever a dumpster to remove a lot of material, indicating that there was even like roofing done or anything like that. And again, a few of our neighbors have made some home improvements, which were beautiful, which actually, created a nice area, nicer property and value to their home, without disturbing anybody's quality of life. I believe that squeezing another house on this tiny little property, and if you look, as my partner said, there is you know, this is not realistic here. And as Mr. Fuller said, that part of that grass, and where will that fire hydrant go? That's, you know, kind of, that's already up there. I believe this lot is rather small already, and to squeeze another home, and the other points that everybody was making, you know, with no yard, no frontage, the dangerous situation that it will create on, with Beacon Street and that dangerous corner, the parking on the street in the wintertime, I don't believe that this will be a benefit to our neighborhood. Unfortunately, I believe that this is a way to maybe make more money, and I don't believe that we as neighbors will benefit from, as if Mr. Caracas? Oh, I'm sorry, okay. The gentleman in the green shirt, because I could not hear him, was facing forward, you know, said that this will, you know, what will the neighbors receive in return for this? Well, we'll receive people parking on the street, you know, not as a safe situation for snow removal, and I believe this will create a bigger problem. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Gary Bordello. Been owner of 70 Vernon Street for 26 years. And I'm opposed to this project. Again, you know, you've heard from everybody saying that this project's come forward, you know, several times with different board members, and it just does seem like a broken record, and it will definitely impact the neighborhood. There's a reason why people choose to live up there, because we like the big yards and the space, and we just, you know, if we want to live in the inner city, then we choose to kind of go that path, but we like the space, and I just hope that it continues to be open space where we can enjoy. And that's about all. I don't want to repeat everything, but I kind of feel just the way everybody else does. You know, it's just a negative impact for the neighborhood. There's parking issues. We already have a hell of a time dealing with the snow and parking. You know, hopefully we won't see another winter like we just seen, but you know, it's pretty tough up there in the winter months, and I just not for this project at all. And again, I'd like to know you know, how a permit was issued for this, you know, so-called, you know, kind of joined dwelling. Hey, was there a permit issued, or, you know, is this just something we're being fed? So I guess I'd just like to know, you know, what is it about and why we weren't notified as to, you know, that coming forward to the board.
Okay.
And that's about enough. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Song Kem. I live at 269 Beacon Street.
269 Beacon?
Yes, about 15 years. That's why brought me to Beacon Street, because I want to live that beautiful neighbor, quiet. But today, like last week, and I saw that proposal, they say they're going to be put another property down to between that corner 6th Street and Warren Street. And I just look at the lot is too small for put another property. And like Scott mentioned, because you see how you come up from 6th Street, head to Beacon. If you turn right, most of Warren is small street. They cannot park the car over here. You know, it will be a more house. They're gonna park on Beacon, but how you gonna turn it? Especially like winter time, like he mentioned, it's very bad. And I don't know, but I just want to say, like, I think that's not the right project that to put another property in that.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak opposition?
Hi.
Yes.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Fred Medeski. I live 176-6, directly across the street from the property in question. I've been up there 46 years.
Are you on the corner, sir?
Sir?
Are you on the corner of 6th Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, my wife and I, you know, we brought our kids up there, and it's always been really fine. We've always known everybody that's lived in that house in 46 years plus, because we knew the people who lived there before them. But anyway, that's all. One of the problems is the traffic. And they have a stop sign on Beacon on both sides, going up and down. There's no stop sign going up the hill. And I look out my window every day, and I see road rage going on out there. People come up 6th Street, and they don't have to stop, so most of them don't. I wouldn't do it. But they go up and they go out, and people are coming down. It's always, it's really bad. Just 2 days ago, I saw this pickup coming up the hill. He's okay. He doesn't have to stop. Car comes around. They just missed each other. And so the guy in the pickup truck sitting there, he's steaming. I could see him. And he sat there for longer than I thought he would. Then he got pissed and he went around down the hill chasing after him. You know, it's a bad thing. And as far as the snow in the winter, yeah, it's a problem because I got 2 nice dents in my truck because of it. Yeah, it's a problem. But everything all my neighbors have said, yeah, it's all true. And I agree with it. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Nancy Lamache, and I live at 255 3rd Street.
255?
3rd.
3rd, okay.
And I'm totally unopposed. I'm a walker, and I'll tell you, when the previous people lived there and parked on Beacon Street, there was witnessed a lot of near head-on collisions with people coming onto 6, up 6 and onto Beacon, making that turn. It is very dangerous, and if he puts a second driveway in there, it's going to be an accident just waiting to happen up there. And the previous owner tried to get a variance to build on that land, and I want to know when no means no, is my question to this board. It's already been shot down once. Why is it even here again?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Sure.
My name is Maura Medeski, and I live right on the corner of 6th and Beacon, and my husband previously spoke. I raised 2 children there. I've lived there forever. It's a beautiful street. I love living across from the reservoir. I don't want to see the neighborhood crowded. I don't want to see another driveway put there. There's no place for us to put our cars during the winter. It's hard. We have to pull them up. We only have a little small driveway. It ruins the character of the neighborhood. We enjoy our neighborhood. Someone that just wants to make money doesn't care about the neighborhood. The neighbors do. We don't want to see this happen. I oppose it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? 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 Okay, hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Attorney Gary, do you have any comments?
Yes,
at
Mr.
this
Chairman,
point?
I just want to, on behalf of my client, I just want to clarify something, just for the neighborhood, and believe me, he understands their concerns, and I understand their concerns. But if this were a situation where he was either going to get this variance for a single family and have just, and it was denied, then he'd just have a single-family house there, and that lot, he wouldn't be here. There's going to be, according to this permit for the foundation, and according to the current zoning, there's going to be a duplex there with a driveway connected with less open space. The proposal is for 2 single families with the required 500 minimum square feet of open space to make it look nicer. So I just want to clarify that on behalf of my client. What it appears is there's going to be a duplex put there if this is denied. And that duplex is going to have a driveway, and it's going to have common ownership, and there's going to be a question of who's going to take care of what, as opposed to 2 single-family homes with each person being a neighbor, just like these folks who has, pride and likes their property and loves that neighborhood. It's an absolute beautiful neighborhood up there. There's no question about it, which is, why my client purchased that property. It's desirable. And you know, he is a businessman, and it is going to be developed one way or the other. So I have to clarify that, because if it were just a situation where if this were denied, it would stay a vacant lot, he wouldn't be here. He wouldn't be here requesting this. But the question is it going to be a duplex connected, taking up more of the lot, or is it going to be two single families? And that's just something that I wanted to make clear. I know there's been some suggestion that there's not a permit and the permit doesn't exist. My understanding anyway is that when you go for a permit, if there's no dimensional relief required, you don't have to give notice to anybody. Just like if these folks had a lot that met all the requirements, they wouldn't have to tell their neighbors that they were building a house. They could pull a permit and do that. There's a foundation permit issued right here, and there's a approved set of plans. So that's what currently is the situation. If this is not approved, then he has to go that route. And that's the reason he purchased it in the first place. It was only brought to his attention that, hey, maybe there's a better alternative to this in the neighborhood, for the neighborhood. And that's why he pursued this. So, you know, just to be clear, that may have not have come out clearly the first time. So I just wanted to reiterate that. And again, my client's happy to answer any questions regarding that and regarding this permit that we have right here. And if I could just, I mean, I know that,
Oh, absolutely.
Judy, if I could address Ms. Tynan, there is I think she did verify that there was a foundation permit for the Condex, which is now number 97. It would be 97, which would be the house to the, if you're on Vernon Street, facing the right of the existing home.
Yeah, in fact, I thought, I'd have to look through all this stuff, but I thought I saw, and it might have been online with the city last night on the GIS, what's the lot number that the current home is on? Is it like 101?
101.
And then next to it says 97, and I couldn't understand what the 97 represented. Was it?
Well, I think what
I'll call it
happened,
the ex-
I
not
think
the
what
extra
happened,
lot.
at one point,
Yep.
this may have been, and I'm guessing just by looking at it and looking at some of the comments and having done some title work, not on this, but just in general, I think there was an existing, and the plot plan actually refers to an existing lot line, a previous lot line that was there, to reestablish that lot line. So it may have been two lots at one point that somehow merged. I'm not positive of that, but it just, lots common like this in that area and parts of Pawtuckaville and areas like that, that's very common, that a lot line would go away and it would merge, and now basically this would be putting that lot line there. It's relative to the other lots in the neighborhood, it's not a small lot. It's a pretty sizable lot, and if you're looking, and I'm sure you all went by there, so you saw it. You don't need to have me tell you that. You saw it yourself, and you can make your own decisions about that. But as far as the stop signs and the kids and things like that, those are concerns. They're going to be there whether it's a single family or a duplex, and my guess is it's probably better if it's single family. There's probably less activity. It's probably not renters. It's probably owners as opposed to renters. And the people that are going to each have a specific property to take care of. And anybody that pays to have a single family in that nice neighborhood is going to keep it up. And I think that's a benefit to the neighborhood. Clearly, if there wasn't going to be anything there but the vacant lot, everybody wants the vacant lot. But my understanding is that's not the case. So I just wanted to make that clear. And again, my client's happy to answer any questions relative to that.
Good. Thank you. So Judy, just one or two things. One of the neighbors, or I should say, one of the representatives that spoke this evening, talked about never being notified about the variance. Was there a abutters list sent out from the city of Lowell?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and we also did not receive any reports from any city departments regards to safety or anything at all. No city departments, fire department, building department, engineering. We received no comments back from any
No, we didn't
city
receive any
departments.
comments.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, I'll probably come up with the third one, but I think there was a third one. But, you know, as far as the neighbors being notified, that comes right from the city of Lowell. And, I mean, we usually get notified if something's happened at an abutter. So the direct abutters with everybody on Vernon Street and on Beacon Street, The circumference is,
It's 300 feet.
yeah, so within 300 feet, everyone that lives within the 300 feet, you should have received something in the mail. Well, I wanted to ask Judy first.
Right, and if anyone has any question as to whether they should have received a notice, I don't have the
Yep.
file with me, but I do have it in the office.
Yep.
They can always check with me.
And
in
for the
office.
record, historically, this board used to be furnished with the abutters list. We don't receive it anymore, but if we had one in front of us, I could have said if you were on here or not, just so everybody knows.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, as I was listening to the neighbors, a lot of them are in that general neighborhood. Some may have been outside of that 300 square and felt like it was kind of like, hey, we didn't get noticed. But I think the city took care of that years ago when they said, from now on, you have to put a big poster on, because people who aren't within that three still have a concern, like all these folks do, and they were able to go by and see that, which they did. In addition to that, my client did, go around the neighborhood with handouts and put them in everybody's door to
Well,
try to.
and that's, the Sixth Street project that was here, I had actually asked about the posting. Now, I'm not going to get into the big, long story, but I always look for postings on all projects to ensure that the neighborhood and the public, it's for the public, it's for the neighborhood, but it's a public posting, and I did notice the public posting was out there, and it's not on a little piece of paper. I mean, it is visible.
Like a billboard, it's pretty big.
It is very visible, so, I mean, the petitioner did his due diligence on that, so, but I know there was a comment by one of the neighbors about not being notified via the mail, so I just wanted to ensure that was happening. Okay. Yep. Ma'am, I can't have, I'm just explaining, I just want to make sure everybody understands that the city sent the notices out.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could
Anything else?
just address, why was it on Vernon Street? Because that's the address of the
That's the
property.
address,
That's where it has to be by the city ordinance. That's why it was on Vernon Street. So if there's any confusion to that, that was what, he had no discretion as to that.
Okay. Okay, and do you have anything else you want to add at this point?
I don't, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, because I'll be moving to the board next, but, so I also want to make sure everybody understands this thing about the foundation permit, that's, so that you've witnessed it, you've seen it, is it a valid?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's definitely a valid
Okay.
foundation permit.
Right.
Yes.
And that foundation permit, yep, and that foundation permit has nothing to do with this board. The board only serves if somebody needs relief or variance, so to Mr. Gary's point, if somebody meets all the dimensional requirements, they're going to be issued a permit. Doesn't come from this board. The City of Lowell Department of Planning and Development, correct?
Yes,
Through the-
Department of Development Services issues the foundation permits and the building permits.
Okay. So again, just for the record, I'll give you one chance. I'll give you one chance to ask a question.
Is this property going to be sold as a two-family, or is it going to be sold as a condex?
That's not for me to answer.
That's my question.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay. No more questions. I had closed the public hearing, so I gave you the opportunity to speak. No, no more questions. Nope. Nope. No more questions. It's closed. Okay. Going to open up to the board. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to just say out loud, I think, what a couple of people have mentioned, and also I think some of the folks that are here tonight were saying they weren't notified about the conduct or the two-family project, and that's because there's no notification required, because there was no meeting, there was no need for a special permit or a variance. By building a breezeway connecting two buildings, they would have met all the requirements of a two-family property without having to notify anyone. And that's just the law. It's not the board making a decision. But obviously, it was something that the petitioner was considering. So my guess is that so that he wouldn't have to go through the special permit or variance process, and then rethinking it, deciding to build a separate single family where he now has to request the special permit. So And that's also my concern. I don't really have any questions for the petitioner. He's made it clear that if he does not receive the special permit or the variance this evening, that he's just going to go ahead and build a second home with a breezeway between the two, and doesn't need to hear what anyone thinks about it, whether it's the board, the planning office, or the neighborhood. So I share all the concerns that have been expressed here, and we had an application several months ago in another part of Christian Hill. Actually, I think it was on Beacon Street, where there was an oversized lot, and now that the zoning had changed, someone wanted to split it in half and build a second home, and we denied that application for the same reason we would deny the application this evening. But again, as the petitioner or his representative has stated, it looks like he wants to or plans to go ahead and build, whether anyone showed up tonight in opposition or no one showed up, because he has the right to do that based on two-family zoning. So I don't have any questions. I just wanted to clarify what I think were a couple of questions or concerns that were raised. I prefer the second proposal because I think when you look at the proposal with the breezeway, that's not going to look, that's not going to be as, aesthetically pleasing to the neighborhood as just having another home. So if we deny the special permit or the variance this evening, the petitioner has stated that he's going to go ahead and build the second property with the breezeway anyway, and we don't have any say in that matter. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike. Van.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I think a lot's been said tonight, and I really appreciate all the neighborhoods and neighbors coming out to speak on this petition. I know it's not always an easy thing coming out to speak, in a public forum and against something. With the actual proposal, I think it's very well put together, well made. It's a nice package, so I appreciate that, Mr. Gary, Mr. Hearn. I think for me, there's a lot of comments or a lot of issues around increased safety issues or traffic issues, and I think some of it can be true and some can be, it's subjective in a way too. But with all my dealings with Mr. Hearn, he's a very professional guy. He does quality work. He's a neighborhood guy. He's always been very working with the neighborhood and with the city. I think, in my opinion, or I like to see maybe this petition continue, so maybe Mr. Hearn and the neighborhood could maybe meet. Some of the comments earlier, I think some of the people didn't get a chance to go to his open house or his open meeting he had a little while ago. So I think the neighborhood would be open to Mr. Hearn coming to talk about the project or the proposal, and maybe some kind of mutual, like common mutual thinking come across to this, something that's maybe more appealing to everybody. I don't know if Mr. Hearn or I know Mr. Farmer is here. He represents Centerville, so if something that can be put together, that'd be great. But as it stands right now, I'm not really in favor of this particular petition. But like what Mr. Paglia said, whether we approve this particular petition or not, he does have a permit to build the two-family with the breezeway with that separation. So, in my opinion, I would like to see a meeting with all the parties and maybe continue this matter. But those are just my thoughts, and also Mr. Gary, is it okay if I just see that building permit you have, or the, and those are all the comments I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Van. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions about the application. The sample elevation plans don't represent the footprint that's on the site plan, and they also are different than the rendering. They illustrate a home that has a garage and is 2.5 stories high, and in the rendering, we don't have a garage. On the site plan, we don't have a garage, and we don't have a home that's, it looks more like 2 or 1.5 stories high even.
Right, so that's the artist's rendition. So when he applies for the construction permit, he'll be required to have his plans for that home as well. I mean, if it's a single family, he'll be required to submit the exact plans for that. But that was the rendition as to what is going to go there.
What is going to be built? Is there a elevation and a plan for the construction of the 26 by 36 foot foundation that you're seeking the variance on?
That would be part of the building permit process when he goes to get that.
I think we can request plans to see what exactly the intent is before we grant a variance. Were you interested in providing us with those plans?
We could. I mean, I think that could be a condition of approval, a possible condition of approval.
It's a little misleading, just because what you provided has a garage and is a totally different footprint and than the rendering. So I really don't understand exactly what your intent is to build.
Well, so if it's approved, then I would suggest a condition of approval with building plans with elevations that would be approved by this board prior to him being able to pull a building permit.
Okay. Can you describe, is it going to be closer to the plans that were submitted as far as the elevations, or is it going to be closer to the artist rendering as far as the intent?
It would be closer to the plans that were submitted.
So it would be a 2.5 story high building structure?
If I could have my client answer those questions, those are more specific to what his plans.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the board. My name's Kevin Ahern. I represent KABP LLC. We put the plans in just as a proposed. Our intent is to build a 26 by 36 colonial, 1,870-something square feet, no garage. But we don't have a plan set. We're going to sell the lot probably to somebody that's going to build something that they like, spec house. So there's not a set house that we have. We're getting a variance, so we have the separate lot, but not a specific house to go on it, other than, obviously, it has to meet the criteria of it being a 26 by 36 based on the plot plan.
So you wouldn't be doing the construction for the separate lot, then it would be?
We're probably going to build it, we're going to build it on behalf of somebody.
Okay.
So we'll hire a general contractor to do that.
Got it.
Or we'll sell it to a general contractor if it goes that
So
route.
you're leaving yourself some room for interpretation with a new client that might want to have a special house for
Right.
themselves.
I've been approached already by a few people
Sure.
that would like to buy.
That makes sense. Judy, if I could ask, do we have any record of issues with backing out onto Beacon Street in this particular neighborhood? Because if you look at the other houses on Beacon, there's a lot of them that have driveways that back directly out onto Beacon Street. There's a lot.
I would
And
have
so-
to check with the police department.
I've heard from the neighbors, a lot of neighbors here, stating the traffic problem, and here we are looking at another addition to that condition. So I'm not sure if I understand if we're looking at a problem here. Should we be looking at the driveway coming off of Vernon Street, for instance, versus off of Beacon Street? I'm just kind of surprised by the issue. I don't travel Beacon Street during the busy times, so I don't know offhand. I do know, though, that there are several lots, though, that currently are there on Beacon Street that are less than the 70-foot frontage. So it's not necessarily inconsistent with the character of the neighborhood in some areas, certainly adjacent to down the street. We seem to have a lot of lots that are closer to the 50-foot. And I will say, I like the concept of the single-family versus the attached with the breezeway version, because I think the attached with the breezeway looks a little contrived and like it's a Band-Aid on a zoning issue rather than a strong asset to the neighborhood. And so I can understand why the planning board suggested that you seek a variance, because it certainly, I think, would be a stronger asset if it was a standalone structure. But it does seem like Van was saying, there's a lot of concern here in the neighborhood, and granting a variance is a big step. So I would like to see us try to reach some middle ground here where we have the safety concern resolved. We have a clear understanding of what's being built and a clear understanding what you could have built with this approved foundation permit that you just passed around. Because it's clear that you have approval to build this attached structure that I think is not necessarily an asset for that neighborhood as far as a character enhancement. So I like Van's idea of a continuance here to seek some middle ground here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank the petitioner for appearing. Also thank all the neighborhood folks that came and spoke. I understand the concerns of the neighborhood, but we're stuck with a situation here of a lot that is otherwise conforming and is could very well fit a two-family thing. And I do see that we do have a permit that's already been established issued by the city for the foundation construction on part of the lot, which would confront with the two-family with the breezeway. And I think that the situation being what it is, that regardless of what this board does, the petitioner does have the right to build a two-family on that. And with the plans that he set forth with regards to the two houses along with the breezeway, I just don't, if it's one way or the other, I think it would be best that the relief being granted for the single families on each of the lot, because I think it conforms better with the neighborhood and the structures. So again, not putting aside the concerns of the neighbors, but that appears to be the best course of action, I would think, in this situation under the circumstances. So thank you.
Okay, Sean, thanks. Mr. Gary, can you come up for a minute, please? There was a comment regarding, and I know we've seen this, in fact, when I lived in the home before I was in before, city-owned land that's basically not paved, but it's supposed to be part of the walkway. So if I look at the property, like currently where the current driveway is for the current existing home, do you know offhand, I was looking through the plans here, do you know if any of that's on city land or where the sidewalk actually is on the back of that property?
I would be speculating, but I would say that if there's a sidewalk there or pieces of remnants of where a sidewalk was, that would be city-owned land.
Yeah.
I would think, unless Judy had any.
And the reason why I ask is the curb cuts. I know tonight you provided another update on the plot plan dated 9/13, and you show the curb cuts.
Yes.
Which was a request that the city
With a driveway,
had put in. Judy, I guess, and to Mr. Gary's point, assumption, since I don't have anything else to go on, I'm going to assume these curb cuts are, that line where the curb cut is, that's pretty much the city land is to the right of that. I'm trying to understand, I'm just trying to visualize, somebody mentioned about the sidewalk there, and I know exactly what they're talking about because I had it on a corner lot that I once lived on. It was city-owned land, but it was It looked like it was all my grass. And I maintained my grass. But I was just looking at this, so the curb cuts were, the petitioner gave us a new plot plan tonight. I'm going to assume that issue about the sidewalk would already have been previously addressed anyways with the previous, because there was another, and I'm going to get to another point here. I know I'm dancing around. There was, I believe, I forget your last name, sir, but I know you're at 84. I know that. You made a comment about Beacon Street is a straight street. It's not at an angle. Well, okay. But as the plot plans are put together, and that's one of the things I looked at, you know, the shape of this lot to begin with is not, if I look at a lot of the properties on Vernon Street, they're pretty much front to back, almost like cookie cutter. Now, your property that you're at, obviously, it looks like the lots on that street were like 5750 back in the old days, even less than the 6,000 that's required today. So it looks like, you know, if I look at the property you live in, that obviously somebody decided to make a condex there. I don't know if everybody was in favor at that time to put a condex, but if I look at that whole street, and I went up and down Vernon quite a few times just to get a feel for the neighborhood, and there is quite a difference in architecture of homes, size of lots, and this property, because of the shape of that lot to begin with, is really kind of like it fans out. And then next door you have that, whether it's a 6-unit, 12-unit. I couldn't figure out how that even got in there because it's supposed to be a TTF. I don't know how it got there. And then behind there is total parking. So you don't even have the remnants of a neighborhood with that building. Now, hopefully nobody's here that lives in the building. They're going to be all over me. But that neighborhood, there's quite a few different shapes and sizes of homes in that whole neighborhood. Because I was very cognizant of what the petitioner was trying to do. And this spin now, when I say spin, the addition of the approved two-family. I guess if I was a neighbor and I heard concerns about traffic, parking, I heard parking on Vernon Street, even though you got curb cut on Beacon Street. Well, if there's going to be a two-family plus a single-family, now I can imagine how many more cars the concern of the neighborhood is. You know, to me, you're going to increase the number of cars, especially if you're going to do the condex. Now, you live in a condex. I haven't heard any neighbors show up and say anything that, you know, you got 25 cars over there because there's a condex. In fact, I went up there 3 different times on Vernon, Beacon, drove around. I not once saw a car on Vernon Street, and I went different days of the week at different times. Just a comment. I never saw any. Now, I wasn't there in the middle of winter, but, you know, sitting on this board, I can't sit and think about what the weather's going to be in the wintertime and where people are going to park. This board has no control of parking. What we're chartered to do is look what the requirements are that the city puts together. And I don't mean to be just looking at you, but the requirements are the requirements. So to this petitioner's, you know, application, you know, do you want, I'm going to call it 3 families there, or do you want 2 families?
Mr. Chairman, if I could clarify,
Sure.
the house that, the permit that he has is to add a unit connecting to the existing unit, so it won't be 3, it'll just be 2.
Okay.
That's the condex that we're talking about.
I thought I heard a building foundation for a duplex.
That's what the building foundation is for, but that makes it a duplex.
Well, right.
Right, so that's, sorry for that confusion, but that's what that is, to clarify.
Okay, so it'd be two singles. So it'd
So
be a
it's-
condex like this gentleman is at
Yes,
84.
taking up
Okay.
the whole lot without any open space, as opposed to 2 separate units, and the condexes will have driveways as well, so.
Yep, yep, okay.
Seems the less intrusive use of that.
Well, anyways, no, I just wanted to address a couple of those things. That's because, you know, again, sitting on this board for as long as I've sat on, I always appreciate neighborhood input, and I don't think people would show up just to show up and say no to everything. I mean, obviously, you have concerns. My concern with this whole petition now is the lesser of two, I don't even want to say two evils. I like the concept of the two single families as opposed to the condex look. I don't see what that condex look is going to do for the neighborhood. And I still refer to that home next door on Beacon Street, the 6-unit or whatever it is. It's, you know, I'd like to see consistency in the neighborhood, not make it more detrimental, if you want to call it that. I actually think the lot is very conducive for a home to be there, especially with the reservoir right across the street. But again, the thing with traffic, this board can't control the traffic. I mean, that's probably something to take up with the police department or your neighborhood association. I don't know what's been done with that. I'm a little bit surprised the neighborhood association isn't here tonight, but that's okay too. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to seeing Anne Marie show up. Sorry. Yeah, there I go for making a comment and then get slapped. Okay. Well, let's see. A couple of things. So on conditions, so tonight, Attorney Gary, just to put it as a condition, will accept into the record the revised plot plan that was submitted for 9/13/2015. Now, Dennis had asked, and I had already written this down before Dennis started talking, so the set of plans, I was going to ask the same question. Do we have in front of us the set of plans? You answered the question. I heard what you said.
No,
So one of the things I did like what you said was, though, that, you know, once, if a decision's made and the plans are put together, that we as a board get a chance to review them. I'm assuming DPD will be reviewing them also. And you mentioned this would be at the time of pulling the building permit?
Yes, and the thought was when, you know, he's not sure who's going to buy the house, and the person who buys the house may have some ideas as to what they want to build there, different things, and that's why he left it open for a little discretion for whoever ends up being the ultimate homeowner there. But certainly, you know, it should be subject to, it has to be subject to a building permit, and an additional condition, it could be subject to this board's review of the proposed plan with elevations and everything that it would need to do that. I would also, my client would agree to, you know, a reasonable landscaping plan for both, you know, to consult with the landscaping. I know you're going to bring that up, so it's they're not going to, there's no point in going through this process and building something that's not aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't make any business sense at all to do that. I think the days are gone where people just throw something up. I mean, houses now are all have certain architectural differences to them all over the place. And like you said, in that neighborhood, you don't have to go more than a couple hundred yards to see 3 or 4 or 5 beautiful different styles of houses from all different eras. And this is going to be consistent with a lot of what you see there. And a lot of those lots are smaller than these proposed lots, or that size. Or at least they appear to be from driving by. There's some larger lots as well. But as far as the open space, this creates that open space, and the entire across the street is that reservoir that you see people running by, walking by. So it's not that specific area of that neighborhood is not very congested going towards Beacon Street because you have that reservoir, which is a huge benefit to that neighborhood. It's not like it's in the middle of that as you go down 6th Street in some of those neighborhoods, but there's no land there at all. Right. This is a little bit different than that.
Well, just to the point about Vernon Street, and I was looking, well, I believe there's a home for sale. I don't know if it's 94 or 92. I wrote it down, which is diagonally across from this piece of property. Both 94 and 92 are both at 5750, and when you look at those homes, you can, and then if we get down to where your condex is, you can see how it opens up like that. But so if we look at, if this, based on the petitioner's proposal of the size of the lots, and I know, I mean, the frontage seemed to be the biggest variance that was being requested, but anything with side yard, I think also, sir, I'm not picking on you tonight, but you mentioned about that empty lot next door where the cars are parked. I mean, it's clearly shown on the plan that they met the side yard, the 10.5 feet requirement for that also. So, again, looking at that end of the neighborhood and looking what currently is there, I don't see where two single families are out of character at all or would do anything to the neighborhood. But enough said on that. That's why I want to see the set of plans, Mr. Geary. You know, to your point, you know, we want to make sure what's going up there. This board knows exactly what's going up in the neighborhood, and that we're satisfied with that. Whoever ends up building it, that's a condition I definitely want for this board, that we have a chance to look at
Yes,
that.
and it's certainly agree to that. That's a reasonable condition.
Yep, okay.
The only problem with the continuance, I don't see any, that it's going to accomplish anything at this point, because he would agree to.
No, I wasn't talking about a continuance.
Okay.
What I was talking about within the conditions.
As a condition, and the landscaping plan.
That, you know, you've made it clear that the plans aren't available this evening, even though we have a lot of stuff in front of us. As a condition, I want to make sure this board sees exactly, whoever decides they're going to put it up there, what it looks like. I want to make sure, you know, the board is satisfied. It blends with the neighborhood.
And that's agreeable.
I have every faith in the world it will, but, and then the other condition, and you brought it up, but I guess in looking at all these proposed sets and the colored schemes, you showed a lot of landscaping there. I wasn't exactly sure what you were going to do. Now, on the landscape plan, would you do anything with the existing property? Would that be part of
I think
the-
there's some mature trees, if, you know, I think the plan always is, if there's an existing mature tree, don't take it down. First of all, it's very expensive to do that. Second of all, you can't, it takes a couple hundred years to get another one up like that. So if there's any way to avoid doing that, he's not gonna do it. And it would be a typical landscaping plan with new construction. I mean, that's, he'd have to
But are
push
you
it.
planning on, or Mr. Ahern, is there anything planned for the current building that's there right now, the residence is there?
I
Is it
better
gonna
let my
be-
client address that directly.
Yep.
Yeah, the current house as is will just be, it'll just be spruced up. There's current shrubs and things out front that'll be cleaned up. If things are dead, they'll be removed and replaced with new shrubbery.
Well, and again, I'm not trying to throw.
There's trees on the lot line that
Right.
hopefully will stay there when a new construction goes on. So they're not,
I'm sure as many trees will be as possible.
there's
and-
no trees within the building space that needs to be
None
removed.
that
so
I saw,
hopefully-
but I, you know, as you know, I think for this project and for the neighbors also, you know, a little bit of landscaping I don't think would be a bad idea. So if there, you can put some type of plan also that the board can review before it's approved, I would certainly appreciate that also. You okay with that condition?
Yes, I think there's somebody he can work with in the planning department with the.
Yep.
So that, yeah, he'll work with them
Okay,
as a condition.
great, thank you. Okay, any other board members have any other comments or conditions they want to talk about at this point? Yep, go ahead,
Mr.
Mike.
Chairman, if I may?
Yep.
I have one thing I neglected to mention earlier. The revised proposal that we just received, or the revised plan that we received tonight, shows a turnaround in the driveway, which I don't know if everyone who's here got a chance to see that. So I guess if there was one positive thing I would say about the proposal is that the proposed driveway for the new home has a turnaround in it so that cars may not necessarily have to back out onto to Beacon Street. So I would assume that turnaround would be kept as part of the new construction.
Yes, and that eliminates the tandem parking too. It allows convenience for the homeowner. If somebody's, you know, the spouse or somebody else, a household member's leaving earlier, you don't have to get up and move your car, and they can be able to pull in there and pull out. So they can head out facing the street rather than backing out. So that's not going to change.
And I meant to comment earlier about the proposed plans, but now that we have an explanation, that we may not see those until we condition it in the, if we condition it in the approval. And I especially would want to see the plans if the developer decides, once we grant the variance, to just sell the lot and walk away, because then we might be working with someone different. I'm not suggesting that he's going to do that, but that's a possibility. So I would definitely want to see a condition that, like Dennis mentioned, that we see what the house is going to look like.
And that's agreeable.
And then the third thing, you know, not to pick a fight or anything, but I disagree with what you just said about the applicant not wanting to just throw something up, because, I mean, he is in fact proposing, if this were to be, the variance were to be denied, of throwing something up with a breezeway, you know, attaching it, and doesn't help the neighborhood character at all. So I just kind of wanted to at least voice my opinion again on the fact that we're sort of, we don't really have a decision to make here, because something's going to be done anyway. I mean, we have a decision to make, but if we deny the variance, then something is going to be thrown up. It's a condex that meets, you know, zoning and code, and has this real sort of silly-looking breezeway in order to meet the two-family requirements. So.
Yeah, when I say a breezeway, it's a connector. I think the plan was, what, that would be actually it looks like a breezeway, it would be a study. So the plan, you know, if I can clarify, and he certainly doesn't want to, if he ends up doing the duplex, it's not to throw something up. He'd still put the time and effort into making that as aesthetically pleasing as possible. But the reality is, a condex isn't going to look as nice as two single families. And that breezeway is just, what I meant by breezeway, it's not something that's just open. It's a connector, and it's going to be utilized, and you said it's going to be a study. So that would be, you know, it was thought out. It wasn't just to throw it up because he can. He can do it because zoning allows it. So, you know, as to what somebody else does, I don't know. But it clearly wasn't to throw something up. But I understand your point completely.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike. Dennis?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask if we could make a condition that the new construction be limited to a 3-bedroom home and not look at building plans for a 4 or 5-bedroom home, only because I think that would add to a parking issue that's already on a lot that's not 6,000 square feet, a challenge. And so I'm worried about the footprint of the new structure exceeding.
Right, with the square footage of the house, I think that's acceptable. I don't think it would exceed 3 bedrooms.
So we could make the 3-bedroom a maximum of the 3-bedroom home as a condition? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's acceptable. What is the current house? How many bedrooms? The current home, the existing home. And the existing home is 3 bedrooms, so that would make sense too.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep. Go ahead, Pam.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I just want to just voice my opinion. I think, you know, continuing the matter for 2 weeks, having, you know, all the parties sit down together and talking about a kind of a common goal, a common resolution. You know, when you put people in a room together, I think a lot of things can be accomplished. So I just want to voice my opinion again that, you know, if all the parties, you know, want to just meet, you know, at either a neighborhood group or something and talk about their issues and concerns, I think a lot could be done. So I just wanted to voice my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I need a couple of minutes to talk about a few things, so I'll be right back.
It is easier for me if you do sign it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, we're back in session. So, after hearing, the petitioner make their presentation and, again, the neighborhood, I appreciate everyone showing up this evening and participating if you decided to. But based on the petitioner's presentation and the purpose of them coming this evening, if we take a look at the prerequisites for the variance, I believe the petitioner does meet the prerequisites. Primarily, for this land here, the shape and topography of the land, especially affecting such land but not affecting generally the zoning district in which the land is located, and a literal enforcement would involve a substantial hardship to the petitioner. I believe that's very true, because I made that statement before, and I know if you take a look, especially if you take a look, and everyone can do this, if you look at the GIS system of the city of Lowell, the shape of this lot is very different than most of the lots on that street, on Vernon and also Beacon, and even if you look at 6th Street. The other point of the prerequisites, public good, if we grant this desirable relief, would be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. I think that'll also address some of the comments the neighborhood had, especially around parking and the public safety issue. And the intent of the zoning is satisfied without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent of the zoning. I also believe the petitioner meets those prerequisites. So I believe, based on what was presented this evening, that the addition of a single-family home for the lot at 101 is to be approved with the following conditions: that a new plot plan, which was submitted on 9/13/15, be taken into the record. Second, and Dennis will speak more to this on the new set of plans that the board will be requiring. And the third aspect would be a landscape plan be submitted for this board. And the landscape plan would be for DPD review, would not come before the board, but it will be a condition. So could I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2015-033 for variance at 101 Vernon Street with the following conditions. First one, that the building plans showing a maximum of 3 bedrooms and a footprint of 26 by 36 be submitted for review and approval by the board prior to receiving a building permit. Second condition is that a landscape plan be developed with DPD for the existing property, and the third, for the existing residence structure. And the third one is that a landscape plan be worked out with DPD provided for the new dwelling as well.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey,
Approved with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Paglia,
Approved with conditions.
Member Peck.
Deny.
Okay, Attorney Gary, you've been approved with conditions. Look forward to those set of plans at some time in the future. Wish you the best of luck, Mr. Hearn, with the
Thank you
project.
to the neighborhood for the input.
Okay, any members have any comments? We have nothing left on the agenda. If no comments for the board, Judy, anything, any handouts tonight for our next meeting?
No, actually.
Puffer Street, That was on our last meeting, and the gentleman didn't, or the person didn't show up. Do you know where that stands, Puffer Street?
I haven't heard anything from that applicant.
So I'll request, can somebody from the city get in touch with them and find out, are they moving ahead, or are they?
Yeah, actually, Joe has been on vacation for 2 weeks, so he may have contacted Joe. However, I have not received any phone calls.
City manager granted Joe 2 weeks vacation?
To move to North Chelmsford, no less.
Oh, Jesus, oh, yeah, you had to bring that up again. All right,
Just saying.
wow. Okay, so next meeting is in 2 weeks, the 24th. 24th, no, 28th.
28.
Can't even add now either. Yes, Mike?
Before we adjourn, a quick comment, Mr. Chairman. I was, as we discussed before the meeting, I was happy to see that we have a working clock in the chamber, but I would like, I hope that the historic clock is just being repaired or refurbished, because it really, the new clock doesn't really fit with this, this regal room. So I wanted to just be on record as thanking the city for a working clock, but would like to see the historic clock returned to its former glory. Thank you.
I'd say, based on that footprint that's up there, that clock might be coming before for a variance, because it looks pretty tight up there. All right, enough fun. All right, you have anything you want to add, sir? No? Okay. All right. All right, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
So moved. Thank you, guys.